Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. Welcome to my first ranking video, I suppose. Now, ranking videos, I see a lot of ranking videos on YouTube. Generally speaking, I've never really felt the need to do many ranking videos. If I like a series of films, generally speaking, I like them. I don't always like to have a rank or they need to have any kind of position in a chart, in my opinion, sometimes. But when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there's so many films in this franchise now. And it was fascinating to me. I'd just done my review for Shang-Chi, the latest Marvel film, and I noticed people again were doing like the ranking videos and things like that. And I thought, you know what? It would be an interesting exercise, even just for me, just to see where I would rank these Marvel films from like worst to best, I suppose is the best way to describe it. So that's what we've got here in this video. It's my first ranking video where I talk about each Marvel film that has been released and where I rank them from my least favourite to my favourite. And it is worth pointing out that none of these films are unwatchable. All the Marvel films have good parts in them. Some of them have more than others, but they're all certainly very, very watchable, and none of them are certainly terrible. So I hope you like this ranking video. Let me know in the comments if you have done a ranking video, and I'll try and make sure I check yours out, or just let me know in the comments what your favourite Marvel films are. So thanks for watching, everybody. Right, coming in last place, and probably not really a surprise to many of you out there, is Thor: The Dark World. I think the early films for this character were particularly weak, and this one is fairly unmemorable in many ways, but certainly still watchable, I suppose. Coming in at number 24 is The Incredible Hulk. Now, I don't think this is actually a bad film at all. I don't think any of these films are bad films. I think the reason why this is so low on the list is because it just doesn't really feel like it's part of the MCU now, because they've evolved this character so much since this film. But it is still very good. Number 23 is the first Thor film. Still very watchable in many ways, but you can see it's the very early days of these characters. They still haven't figured out how to portray him on screen. Chris Hemsworth is a little bit uncomfortable at times with this character, but there are some really good humorous moments in this film. Number 22 is Captain Marvel. Didn't really have an issue with this one so much at the time. Enjoyed myself pretty much at the cinema with this. I've just had no real desire to re-watch this film for a lot of reasons. It's just not one film that I have much desire in me to go back to. Number 21 is Iron Man 2. A fairly lackluster sequel. But it was always going to be difficult to follow up with such a fantastic film as the first Iron Man film was. I think they got some things right in this film. Some casting was very good. Mickey Rourke was well cast as Whiplash. They just mishandled that character pretty poorly in a lot of ways. Number 20 is Captain America, the First Avenger. A decent origin film, but fairly lackluster at the same time. The character felt a little bit dull to me for much of this film. And I thought they did so much better with this character in the later films in the universe, which is a bit of a shame for this one. Number 19 is Black Widow. Fairly recently released, obviously. I didn't really have a massive issue with this film, other than the fact it was about a decade too late. It was too late for this character, unfortunately. So therefore, there wasn't an awful lot of interest in this film. Number 18, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Watchable in many ways, great chemistry with the leads. Paul Rudd again does a great job. There's some wonderful moments in the film, but the story's fairly weak, and the same old problem with many Marvel films is the villain was pretty weak too. Number 17, the most recent Marvel film, is Shang-Chi. Had a good time with this film. I thought it was entertaining, some great martial arts sequences, a good origin story. But I thought there was some really clumsy storytelling at times here, and I thought it turned into a little bit of a CGI mess at the end of the film. Number 16 is Ant-Man, the first outing for this character. Again, Paul Rudd's introduction into the MCU went really well. Great casting with Michael Douglas, a good origin story for this character. Again, and you're probably going to hear this a few times, a weak villain lets this film down, unfortunately. Number 15, Avengers Age of Ultron. the sequel to the hugely popular first Avengers film. Well, there's a lot of things to enjoy in this film. Again, it's great to see there were some great sequences in this film, Hulk against Iron Man in particular, but it does also feel a little bit messy at times. Number 14, Doctor Strange, a good origin story, and I actually think they're really starting to know what to do with this character now. I think we started seeing that in some of the later MCU films. I think they just hadn't quite found their feet with this character in this film, but it is still very, very entertaining, and Benedict Cumberbatch is perfectly cast. Number 13, Iron Man 3. I actually don't mind this film. Probably a lot of people out there, this is maybe their least favourite Iron Man film. This is sometimes the vibe I get. I think it's a good Iron Man film. It was a clever idea to make him powerless for quite a lot of it. And I didn't actually mind what they did with the Mandarin character either. Number 12, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Great time at the cinema watching this one. I think the Guardians films brilliant. I didn't know anything about the Guardians of the Galaxy until I saw the first film, and I thought Marvel did a fantastic job with the first and the second one. I really enjoyed them both. Number 11 is Spider-Man Far From Home, the most recent Spider-Man film. We're getting the newest one later this year, hopefully. This is set in Europe. It was a good idea to kind of take him a little bit out of his comfort zone. I like the way they did Mysterio, and there's an awful lot to enjoy in this film. Number 10, Black Panther. Wow, what a powerhouse of a Marvel film this was when it came out. Loads of buzz, loads of hype. I thought Marvel did a brilliant job with this, with recreating Wakanda. Great character, Black Widow. Some good origin story stuff going on, and a very, very solid Marvel film. Number 9 is Spider-Man Homecoming. Our first look at Spider-Man in his first MCU movie, all of his own. And they do a really, really good job. The character is finding his feet in this film, which is great to see. Great villain. I thought Michael Keaton was brilliant as Vulture, and it's just a great film. Number 8 is the first Avengers film. If you actually watch this now, it does actually feel a little bit dated in places, but it's just such a great film. It gives you such a buzz when I certainly first watched it, and all the characters get their moments to shine in the film, and it shouldn't have worked, but it absolutely did. The next on the list, number 7, is Captain America Civil War. This character has had some great films. This one is definitely up there. It's a very famous story that I thought they handled really well in the MCU. It was brilliant to see all these characters going head to head. It was really entertaining. And next on the list is Captain America Winter Soldier. This is a good film because it doesn't matter if it's a superhero film or not. If you're not a fan of superhero films, you can still enjoy this film. It's just a great film first, and then a superhero film second. It's just brilliantly done with some fantastic action. Number 5, the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. This, I didn't expect to like. I don't think many people did when this came out. I think everyone was assuming this was going to be Marvel's first flop. They couldn't have been more wrong. It was a fantastic film, and they really did great with this property. Number 4, Avengers Infinity War. Oh, we're getting to territory here now with the Marvel films where they're faultless to a large degree. And this obviously is the first in the 2 epic films. Fantastic to watch, really entertaining. Number 3 is the first MCU film, and still easily one of the best, Iron Man. I think they were the greatest origin story ever put on screen. Robert Downey Jr. couldn't have been more perfectly cast. Iron Man is one of my most favourite characters, and I thought this film was top notch. Number 2 is Thor Ragnarok. Who expected this to be good? This character had 2 lackluster outings, and then they finally figured out how to put Thor on screen, and they give us Thor Ragnarok. There's nothing wrong with this film. There's no faults I can really give you with it. It's entertaining, it's funny, it's colourful, and it's just a bloody good film. But for me, the best MCU film out there is Avengers Endgame. What a cinema experience this was. The highs, the lows, the goosebumps that you got. It gave audience members exactly what they wanted. And I think it's going to be hard for any Marvel film to topple this one from the top spot. So there we go, guys. that is my first ranking video. Very actually quite difficult to do to a large degree, and any given day really, you know, some of the orders can switch around. I think the ones that I listed in the top 5 are pretty much always going to be around that, I think, because they're just so good. But I do think it's worth re-mentioning that all these Marvel films are all very, very watchable. There's no real duds in any of them. They've all got the strengths. They've all got generally the weaknesses. Some have just got more than others. So I hope you like this first ranking video. Let me know in the comments if there's other ranking videos you think I should consider doing. And of course, I will be back with plenty more content for you guys on the channel very, very soon.